Kicks 105.5 WKXH. Good morning, I'm JJ. It's Wednesday, April 13th. It's 7:51 and currently 34 degrees outside. I'll have your full weather forecast coming up in just a little bit. But right now, we have Mike Barrett from the Barrett Insurance Agency with us. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning, JJ. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
Good. A little brisk, but, tis the season. Ebbs and flows of spring. It's here, it's gone. It's here, it's gone. It's here, it's gone.
It's here, it's gone, but we're going to get up to the 60s today and tomorrow. Looking forward to that.
Yes, and the grass is starting to turn green in spots, which is even better. So bring that probability of grass fires down, which would be nice, brush fires. So
Absolutely.
So this morning for good policies, what I thought I would do is I would talk about homeowners insurance. And what about homeowners insurance? You know, companies try to, I don't want to call it innovate because I actually think that the companies are a little behind the times. So I guess for insurance companies, it's innovation, right? It's trying to be proactive in getting appropriate coverage and broader coverage available. And there's different things out there that if you have had the same homeowners insurance for a long time, you could be missing out on some opportunities for coverage that you may not be aware of. And here's what I mean. If you've had a homeowner policy for a really long time, you may not be aware that companies, especially over the past couple of years, and they've been doing it for probably 10 or more, but if you had it for a really long time, you could be missing out. They do what we call a package or a bundle endorsement, where they take a bunch of coverages that you could buy individually and specifically put them under one thing that you can add, and they call it a cute little name, right? I mean, they could call it like the Progressive. They call it their Progressive Platinum endorsement on their homeowner policy, at least for us because we're a Platinum agency. Conquer Group calls it their Ultra or their ESP Plus. Co-op Insurance has one. They're not really one for names, but they're starting to now. They just have for many years have called it the Homeowner Endorsement Bundle. Well, that's calling a spade, isn't it? But now they're giving it fun names like the Green Mountain Advantage, which if you're with Cooperative, you may be aware of that. They've been letters that have been sent out. And it goes on and on and on and on. You know, Safeco has a number of them, like their Premier and their Optimum program. So essentially what this is it's giving you things. I'm going to give you a couple examples. Backup of sewers and drains, not automatically covered on a homeowner policy. You can add it specifically, or you can have a bundle that would include it. It could be up to $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 for backup of sewers and drains. That's if you're connected to town water and the sewer or the water backs up into your house. It's going to cause damage. You're going to have dry out and repair. That could be there to protect you. Same thing if you're off town systems and you're on a septic system and your septic backs up into your house. There could be some serious costs associated with mitigating that. Good thing to have. Personal injury, that's another piece of coverage you can specifically buy, or if you have a bundle, it's probably going to be included in there. But some of the more, the ones that made me think of this as a conversation are the ones I wanted to get to, and that is companies are starting to add things like equipment breakdown. Equipment breakdown can cover for appliances in your home. Now, there's specific triggers, and I'm not going to get into all the nuts and bolts. But, you know, if you have a boiler that just fails, the centrifugal force of the boiler, you could find that you might have coverage with equipment breakdown if you have it on your homeowner policy. And there are companies now that allow you to add it specifically or add it through a bundle. The one that I'm the biggest fan of, and I've talked about this before, is service line coverage. Some companies call it service line coverage. Some companies call it buried line coverage. What does that mean? Well, if you're like me, I know specifically the measurement because I'm trying to get connected to internet at my house. I have a 255-foot underground run for my power, my phone, and hopefully soon to be my broadband fiber. Working on that. If that was to fail for the utility, that's my own. I own that because it's buried in the ground. So if that was to fail and I needed to now go out and dispatch and get somebody to dig it up, put in conduit, and repair the line, replace the line, that's going to be a potentially serious out-of-pocket expense for me. And so the buried utility or the service line coverage, pretty awesome to have. And that's something that's much newer than the other endorsements that I mentioned. So you may want to make sure you have that, especially if you're in towns like Lyndonville and St. Johnsbury and you're on town water and septic. You know, service line coverage would also cover where it breaks off from the town's connection in the road and runs to your house. So if you have the old clay or what have you, when you got the trees and the roots coming in and causing problems and now you need to replace that, you could find you have coverage for that as well. And the list goes on and on. There's a lot of enhancements that have been added over the years. And I think the real point of this conversation this morning, JJ, is just to remind people that insurance is not a set it and forget it, and I'm starting to show my age by calling it the Ron Popeil, because I don't think he's around anymore. And come on, the set it and forget it, the infomercial guy. All right, obviously I watch too much TV.
Okay. All right.
He had the air, like the dryer thing to never mind. Well, I'll send you some YouTube links for Ron Popeil. But don't just set it and forget it. It's incumbent upon you to be your own advocate in so many things in life, and make it insurance a part of that. Because, again, having insurance is not something you should have because you're required to. You should have to protect you for what your expectations are in life and for potential loss. So, there you go.
Okay, that brings to mind a question.
Go for it.
Can you insure your food?
Well, yes, you can. Your food is personal property, just so you know. Personal property, if you're thinking about what personal property is, you shake your house upside down, what falls out is personal property. Now, it's got to be specifically a piece of coverage that's either a named peril if you have a certain type of policy or not excluded. It's got to meet your deductible. But I'll give refrigerated food loss as an example, which is also a piece of coverage that's available on many of those bundles or package endorsements I mentioned a second ago. Food spoilage in a refrigerator or freezer that is a result of a power outage or even a failed unit is covered. And it's going to be up to $500 or up to $1,000 depending on what you have for coverage. Some companies have no deductible. So you can have a $1,000 homeowner deductible. Your refrigerator's gone out without power and all of your perishables are gone. You make a list. You can submit it to your company and get compensated with no deductible with some companies, or I believe other companies have a $100 deductible. So yes, food is covered.
And that's pretty awesome because the price of meat nowadays has gone through the roof.
Yeah, it is. It is. You think about it. If you are one of those folks who's, people who get a fair amount of meat and put it in the freezer, if that freezer goes, that's going to be a fairly expensive loss. So yes, there is coverage for that, but you got to check your policy because I'm talking in a general sense. You don't want to be caught off guard and go, oh, well, Mike said I have that. But maybe your particular policy doesn't or has a smaller limit. So keep an eye on that.
So would that cover the food stuff? And, of course, there's a price associated with all that. What if you're a hunter and, you take a deer or a moose or a bear and you have all that processed and you have that in your freezer? Now, you can't typically sell that.
Right. That's hard to have a value. I'm sure that there's a way to figure that out. That's probably something that you would submit to the company and have them review to see if they can put a dollar amount per pound on what you may have lost. That's a great question, and I would have to defer to an insurance adjuster to properly handle that. But that would be my safe assumption, is that they would come up with a fair value.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
That's good news because I know a lot of hunters that have like 2 or 3 freezers.
A lot of packed freezers out there.
All kinds of food in there.
Absolutely.
If they lose power, could all go to pot.
Absolutely. So there you go.
All right, Mike. Well, thanks so much for coming in and hanging out with us. We are fresh out of time.
All right.